From my viewpoint, the role of the scientist is that you provide the data and you provide an explanation of perhaps of what the data means. But it's not your job to determine whether or not that's good or bad. So, I mean, that's my view, but everybody has their own.
No, I think I agree. But what can happen in these controversies is that the data gets misinterpreted or spun to meet one side or the other. And I think the role of the scientist is to keep the data objective, keep the interpretation of the data to provide some level of confidence that the data is correct.
And that actually comes around to the citizen science issue that crops up a lot when people talk about establishing these programs that use citizens to collect data. Can they be assured that it's accurate enough? Are they collecting the data in the right manner that it can be supported and defended in a legal sense? And so that is a real issue, I think, for scientists. And I think that's a real hurdle that they have to get over and make sure that they provide all the safeguards so that they know when they are involved in a citizen science project or a program that's collecting data that they're going to use, they want to be really assured that it's being collected in the proper manner so they can defend it. Well, as Susan was saying, you can't just put the data out there and then let them spin it, or whatever group spin it, whichever way they want to. But if there's a circumstances, I suppose, where there's a catastrophic result from one decision or another, then just as an individual, it behooves you to step forward and say, this is my opinion based on the data I've collected. What's going to happen if you make this decision? I mean, I think you have to do that.
Well, we recognize that we work within administrative structures and legal structures and the democratic process as well. So it's one piece of problem solving. It's not the answer. The data isn't the answer.
Yeah, right. We've all been involved enough with politics to know.
It's an informed citizenry that can make the best decisions, and as extension educators from a science background, we can help people understand the data that's being offered to them as part of this problem or this issue. From very standard practices, and what's the best way to display map data, and how do you interpret the information. So we can support the citizens' education so that they can understand that part of the process.
I would have a problem, I think, with society that starts putting science too far up. Mm. It certainly has its role, and it's an extremely important role, but to simply hand all decisions over to a scientist and the scientific community, I think would be as disastrous as handing it all over to the politicians. So it has to be a balance. What helps a lot in being able to doing this is to be flexible, and to be able to take a situation that's occurring and in finding perhaps a common ground that you can plow or fertilize and get some sort of an agreement out of, and pursue some sort of common goal.
There are a lot of technical skills involved in this area, math and science. But I think there are also, you need to be a strong communicator to be in this business. And I think the strong communication, I almost lean into less talking and more listening. You need to be able to understand where your audience is coming from. What are their concerns? Where are they on the skill building continuum? And what do they want? So being a good listener and a good communicator are essential skills to do the science work that we do.
Trial by fire in a lot of cases. Yeah, I mean, the other skills, the math and all that, obviously we learn that through the educational system. But the educational system does not necessarily teach a lot about communication, not interpersonal communication or with groups. And that you learn by doing.
You can take classes. I had great mentors here in my job who taught me more good communication skills, and then getting out and doing it.
There's a few people that could certainly go out in the crowd and the group and not feel at all nervous or hesitant, but the rest of us always feel that. So you just have to sort of overcome that, and that took a while to overcome.
Teach what you love. If you really love the work you're doing, it becomes easy to talk about it, easy to share, and the enthusiasm is infectious. Then your audience wants to learn too.
One of the things I do worry about is the runaway technology getting beyond people's understanding of what's going into it. It's great that we're getting all these technical tools and things that we can start to manipulate and use, but each of them have their own limitations, and we need to be aware that there's limitations to these things and know how to handle them.
We have incredible tools at our disposal to problem solve, whether it's environmental problems or social problems, community issues. Geospatial sciences as a tool is not only expanding in its capability, but it's becoming more and more accessible to the average person. How many have you looked at Google Earth? Probably within the last 24 hours in some form or another. And that's a tool of geospatial science. So there's hope that these tools are now more widely available and more powerful than ever to provide information for problem solving.